best question.
You guys.
Hi. Yeah, hello, good evening. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Greo Belgers. And to give a little bit of background of me, I started study chemistry, then finished off with art school, worked 12 years in television. Founded an advertising agency, and logically I'm now working at a bank for 3 years. I started working with Triodos Bank in 2008 when the credit crisis was in full force, or starting in full force, from the advertising agency. And then after 6 years of very close cooperation and brand building, I decided to help Triodos Bank even more and put all my focus in the company. So we are here at Patagonia, and that's very clear. I mean, they have something you can hold, and when you look at Patagonia, it's about outdoor clothing and gear, or Alex, you can probably correct me here because it's about much more than that, but there is a product inside. So I thought let's first explain what the product of Triodos Bank is, and that's quite philosophical. You know, Triodos Bank is about the transformative power of money. Money in itself, that's nothing. I mean, it's just an agreement between each other. There's some emotion inside. It can be greed, it can be trust, it can be hungry for more, it can be anything. But money in itself is neutral, it's nothing. The moment you spend it, or you invest it, or you give it away, then the real power starts. It can move into a direction where it can make an influence for the good or for the bad. For the quality of the planet, for humanity, for you and for me. So this is something in branding we always try to express, that, and we do it in many different ways, but we want to get people understand the power and influence on money, and that power is in your hands. So in one of the campaigns, it was called How to Become Truly Wealthy. We traveled all over the world. We went to an Eskimo on the North Pole and asked him, what is money? Now that was a funny answer he got, because he said, I can talk about sealskins, but about money I know nothing. But then I learned that sealskin was their money, because they used it for trade. But we also went to Douglas Rushkoff. He's a writer for the New York Times, a philosopher, and he very nicely explains a little bit about the depth of money. And I made a clip, an extract of it, to listen to him for 40 seconds to open you up a little bit what money is.
I might redefine wealth. You know, most people think of wealth as how much money do I have? And I'm thinking of wealth much more in terms of how easily can we transact with one another? How easily can we exchange value with one another? One idea is that we've understood wealth in terms of metrics. How much money do I have? And we're moving into a world where wealth is going to be how much money do I circulate? Understanding wealth as respiration and life rather than some number. And so that's sort of this one idea. Then the other idea is that in order for people to get wealthy in this new environment, they have to stop thinking about extracting value from others and think about how to exchange value from others. In other words, you getting wealthy means getting other people wealthy too. The function of money is not to make you rich. The function of money is so that you can transact with somebody who doesn't want the thing that you do. That's what money is for. If I make chickens and you make shoes, I need shoes, but you don't want a chicken? That's why we have money. So I can give you this much worth of chicken in paper rather than in chicken. So real wealth is not what can I fall back on. Real wealth is what can I actually do? What value can I create and provide in my world that people are willing to compensate me for?
So this is a campaign from 2016, and believe me, we just broadcast films like this on television, and probably half of the Netherlands, because these for the Netherlands were like, what's this? But because it goes on and on about the things of money. That's one of the things that's a little bit we struggle with. We are kind of elite bank, right? Yeah, I'm looking at somebody who worked with us. We can be very elite, very philosophical, really go into the deep, talking about all kinds of meaning behind money, and that's one of our pitfalls. And that pitfall, and also the origin of Triodos Bank, is a little bit here. So these are not the founders. This is John Lennon and Yoko Ono. They are in the Hilton in Amsterdam, 1969. Hairpiece, bedpiece, very famous picture. And it was in that time that Triodos Bank was founded, and because there was a need in society for more freedom, more equality, and more brotherhood. And John Lennon and Yoko Ono tried to address it with their sit-in, their bet-in. But it was an undercurrent in society present everywhere. People really wanted to get loose from the sophistication of the 50s and the Second World War, and a new energy was going. And these hippies, those are the founders of Triodos Bank. They have less hair, but they have a hippie heart. Said, what can we do to make this transition possible? How can we put money into that need for more brotherhood, equality, and all that kind of values in society? And the good thing about those four is also they really had this idea, and that's where it started. And only one of them is a banker, by the way. The rest are not even bankers. The left guy, Lex Pos, is a management guru. So that they said we're going to start and we're going to look who needs money in society for positive change, and where can we put that money into action for that positive change. And so in 1971, Triodos Foundation was started, and that's how it all began. And it became very successful quickly, and then in 1980, Triodos became a bank, because they applied for a banking license and got one, and from there we could start building our bank activities to have even more impact than we could in the foundation. So the difference between Triodos Bank and all other banks is that every bank looks at what's the risk, what's the return when they want to loan money, and they loan money to entrepreneurs who build things and do things in society, who influence our living. But we look at the third one, and that's impact. So of course we look at what's the risk of this loan, then we look what's the possible return of this loan, and then the third one, that's probably even more important for us, what's the impact. And then we make decisions that other banks don't. Or we don't make a decision that other banks do. Now we are quite big, however. I mean, it's a lot of money, 15 billion assets under management for the Dutch guy people here. It means the billion and a milliard is always a little bit different things, but 15 billion in English means 15 milliard. That's a lot of money. However, in banking, that's nothing. It's we are really small. So we operate in 6 countries: the UK, Netherlands, Germany, Belgium, France, and Spain. And we have, next to Triodos Bank, we also have Triodos Investment Management, where we produce funds and also distribute funds, of course, from the same idea and with the same characteristics and qualities of our banking products, and that's all over the world. We are totally transparent on what we do with the money. So it starts with €1 that comes in is €1 that goes out. We don't make magically somehow, money in a black box that €1 goes in and suddenly it's 12 euros. We don't do that. People give us money, and we give that money to other people who we think are going to do something positive with it. And every loan we give, all the money that we put out there is visible on Google Maps. And for example, here, let's go into Spain. You see all those Google pointers, and if you go even deeper, this is 100 kilometers above Barcelona. I just take an example, and you look at it and you see their solar plant we are investing in and make it possible. But the beautiful thing about this is, of course, transparency, but also each Google pointer has a very, very emotional story behind it. And all those stories, they are really fantastic. And I want to share one of those stories, and then we go back to the branding. Let's go to Barra. Up in Scotland, there's a very, very small island. It's called Barra. This is the main city and the only city on Barra. I think 40 people live there. This is the airport of Barra. Once a month an airplane can land, only low tide because it lands on the beach. And they came to us and they wanted a loan. They wanted to have money and they wanted to have a loan to set up a windmill and wind energy. And we made a campaign about that climate because it shows what risk return and impact is in a very emotional, touchy way, I think. It's a beautiful story. A woman from the BBC said, I'm going to film it for you. And she made this clip, which we then used in the UK for our advertising.
Barra's got a wind that you can actually lean into. And it's a wind that can blow for days. The same beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I find it elegant, awesome, but I suppose the best thing is it's useful. It's generating electricity, clean electricity, and it's generating income for the island. It took a lot of energy and time to get the turbine up, and now she's up and running. She does all the work, and we reap the return. And I like that. We approached Triodos Bank, who backed the local community, taking forward the project. So what we have here is quite unique. We have a wind turbine that is wholly owned by the community, and the return from this particular turbine feeds back into the community and will benefit the community. The wind turbine has given the islanders a sense of self-belief. We have got a future not just for ourselves, but our children.
So that's I think that's a very good example about what a windmill is for a community there. And he says it's really that we have a future in the sense of self-belief, which I think this is just wonderful. This is great, you know. It's a windmill, it's providing clean energy, not only for Barra, but also for the islands around it, and it gives the community a reason to exist on that island. So, what strategy do we follow when we are doing our branding? So, we call our branding positive footprints, because what we try to do in communication and marketing is what we also do in our business, and it's our mission. So that means that we will never do push messaging or push marketing. It will always be, we want to give something in the marketing. Or it can be inspiration, it can be a useful service, it can be a great event that benefits a lot of people. But we will never talk about ourselves, we will never talk about products, we will also always try to help people understand the role you play in the quality of life we are having with each other, we all have, and endorse you somehow to take action or do things or get inspired, or sometimes it's just the thing like that you think, yeah, it does count what I'm doing. And I'm going to talk you through 4 steps which we always use in our branding and advertising. Sometimes very successfully, sometimes not so successfully. I'm going to share that also. Because from the outside, if you only look at the advertising we do, it all looks very clean and beautiful. But there's a big struggle behind it. It's not easy. It's every year again we are very afraid with the plans we are going to do. Yeah, so we started with making a new payoff called Follow Your Heart User at Triodos Bank, and this is a very good one for the bank because this is really what it's all about. And the tagline already tries to inspire and motivate you to do what's right. It's really also, we start with follow your heart, and then use your head. And if you add the two, you come into more the action part. You could, if you look at your body, it's your heart, head, and then your hands, where you start doing things. That's what Triodos Bank is coming. So we really also liked it to write it as a sum of the first two. Well, some stuff. When we started, I just have this slide to explain that nowadays, especially in the Netherlands, people know Triodos, but when we started 6 or 7 years ago, nobody knew it. It was the best kept secret, a banking secret in the Netherlands, you could say. When you ask people if they could name a bank, only 3% of the people named us, and usually that were the people that were very rooted in the 60s and 70s, who were very activist. Yeah, the top line here is what we do. Lead fearlessly. We really try to be a compass for people. We also think that brands should be compass for people. The politics is a coward in those kind of things. Institutions can have a big role here. And then the second line, fearlessly. Yeah, we take a lot of risk in our branding and advertising, and yeah, that worked very, very well. Not always. So the first one, change the script. What we always do is our campaigns always react on the zeitgeist. So we always say something, what is happening in your life, and you feel it as an undercurrent or it's present out there, and we try to bring a new perspective to show that there is more to it than you think. And doing that, we try to educate people and empower people, give them a good feeling, not like a good feeling with smiling people, but really endorse people and help them toward doing certain things. So I have an example here. The most maybe famous example was in 2012, so it's already quite old. And when we look at the context of that time, the credit crisis started in 2008. Last week we just celebrated 10-year credit crisis. Well, celebrate. It's still a disaster. But in those days, yeah, this was scary. What happened? We already forget, I think. But go back to those days. Greece was falling out of the euro. We didn't even know if the euro would exist anymore. And also, almost all big banks in the Netherlands were nationalized. And so all over Europe there was this dark depression going on. And when you look at it in the period from an economic perspective, it was very difficult. People were losing jobs. A lot of companies were going bankrupt. The consumer trust was going down year after year after year. The investments was zero. The consumer purchasing power was going down every quarter. The public sentiment, I mean, it was really a depression. And Europe seems to have come to a halt. For the Netherlands, for example, you are allowed to have a deficit of 3% by European norms. We already had 4.5%, and that made everybody very, very nervous. So, in that moment, in those times, every week, every newspapers and the media were talking about, are we growing yet? Are we going more into recession? And of course we went more and more into recession. And it was the only talk of the time. And we thought, yeah, wait a second. We are in a much better place if you really look at it. So we said, let's make a film where we hardly had budget for it. But luckily we found Rams Gouw, who was willing to help us here. We made a film, and then we had no money to broadcast it anymore. So that was very clever media strategy. But we had the film, and then we said, okay, we're going to broadcast it once, but we're going to do it on each network. So when people were sitting at television and they thought, advertising, I have to switch channel, the same. They couldn't escape. So that was quite clever, because we never broadcasted it in 2012 after that, and people started talking about this film and also, you know, engaging with the film and sending it to each other. So in social media, suddenly this film boomed. And well, let's have a look at what our message is.
We live in a wonderful time. That's something you don't often hear on the news or read in the paper. That's why I'm going to say it one more time. We live in a wonderful time. The freedom we enjoy, the knowledge we've gained, the things we can do, how we're all connected to each other. Every one of us can have our say and be heard. The world has grown smaller. Yet when it comes to the economy, we're waiting for something big. A decision from the top. Intervention. A green light. But it doesn't come. The power is no longer in the hands of the big. The strength is in the hands of the small. Although you may not realize it, what you do every day does make a difference. You decide what you do with your money, or what you don't. Every act, however small, sets something big in motion. Because small acts create big change. A change to a different economy. One that's fairer, more humane, greener, more innovative. Take a good look around you because it's already here. And here. And here. Now it's up to you. The power is in your hands. Because together we will make small the new big. Follow your heart. Use your head. Triodos Bank.
Well, in dark times, that's a beautiful message, I think, right? And so when we saw that social started to move this film, we then decided, okay, let's have some extra money and do a rerun on television. And then almost up till today, not anymore, but until last year, it popped up. People still were talking about this thing. So, but it's also, I think you can feel it also. This is really from our initial idea and our passion and drive to want to change something in the world. And that's what I mean with being fearless. All marketeers said, are you out of your mind? This is a disaster. You're not even selling a product. When I see this commercial, what should I do? But we said, at Triodos Bank, we never make a commercial. Now we made a commercial of 90 seconds, broadcasting on all public channels at the same time. And it brought us, you know, it did a good job. The second thing we do is we are very, our targeting is really on culture creative. Culture creatives is a new segment of people discovered in the States, where Paul Ray was asked to investigate for the Democrats. Why is it that every 4 years the Republicans or the Democrats are winning in America, and how does that work? And he discovered, roughly, there are 3 types of people. You have the modernists, they are open for new ideas, they look more from a global perspective. You have the traditionalists, they are all about family values and probably hunting and eating meat and I don't know, all that kind of things. And then you have the culture creative. Now those are not creative or cultural people. The name sounds really nice, culture creative, because he meant is people, a group of people who create their own culture. So they were very hard to pinpoint, but they discovered that they they can be old, they can be young, they can be rich, they can be highly educated. They are all present in that group, but they have one commonality, and that is values. And the values they share are exactly the values of Triodos Bank. They are our target audience. And there are quite a lot of culture creatives. So if you look at here, Netherlands, Belgium, UK, Spain, Germany and France, we researched how many of those culture creatives are in those countries. You see that in the Netherlands and the UK, they are roughly 25%. I thought when we started the research, well, we will top Europe, but we were at the bottom. And then if you look at Germany, wow, almost 40%. And when you think of it, it's not a surprise that something like big like Energiewende, that it happens in Germany. Yeah? They are very much into the full values of Triodos Bank and culture creators.
De wereld veranderen. Vanuit die gedachte financiert Triodos Bank al meer dan 35 jaar positieve verandering. Maar dat mag van ons nog sneller. Daarom zijn we Buy the Change gestart. Een nieuw platform dat bewuste consumenten en duurzame ondernemers met elkaar verbindt. Want verandering, daar kun je in beleggen, je kunt het sparen en je kunt het ook kopen. Je kunt het eten en drinken. Je kunt het dragen en erop rijden. Als je dit ergens ziet, ben je bij een onderneming die bijdraagt aan een economie die eerlijker, groener en menselijker is. We zijn er maar net begonnen. Eerst Amsterdam en daarna verder. Met een website waar je bedrijven kan vinden die het anders doen. En straks een app die je helpt om elke dag iets te veranderen. Eerst nog de bedrijven die Triodos Bank financiert. En later, wie weet, iedere ondernemer die toe wil naar een andere economie. Wat jij met je euro doet en wat niet, maakt veel uit. Doe je mee? Buy the change.
So this is really an example where we try to do community building and having a meaning there also. Yeah, the last one is, as I've already mentioned this one, we don't talk about our products, boring. More interesting is the mission, where do we stand for, what do we want to achieve in society. And we are so passionate about this that we make mistakes. One of the mistakes is that we decided on national television to boil a frog, for example. Now, believe me, never ever boil a frog on national television. We did it, and the reason was because the message of the boiling frog was very valid and also very urgent. We wanted to say to people, because we heard in society, and many people saying, well, it doesn't matter what I do, we are going down, it's too late, it's not possible, and do you know the story of the boiling frog, when you put the heat, oh yeah, I know the story, we're all going to die. And we thought, but that story is not even true. So we made a campaign about it. Also, a lot of organizations starting copying our style, our tone of voice. Suddenly I thought, hey, this is our campaign. No, it was an energy company. Hey, another one. Oh no, that's some other brand. So we thought we need a different, distinct voice. Let's experiment, also about being fearless. Let's experiment with a totally different look and feel, and let's boil a frog.
Have you ever heard of the boiling frog myth? Put a frog in boiling water and it will jump out. Put it in cold water, which you slowly bring to the boil, and it'll just sit there, oblivious. Many people think we're that frog. The world is changing, yet we do nothing. The old economy no longer works. We exhaust Earth's resources, and we wait, just like the frog. We took a closer look at this story, and guess what? It's not true. A frog won't let itself be boiled. It's time to change the script and reassess our role in the economy, because change starts today, with you. Follow your heart. Use your head. Triodos Bank.
Yeah, we thought, let's put more suspense in it and make that noise under it and a heartbeat. And then the phone rang from the Reclame Code Commission, and we had to repair because there were complaints from the public. And the complaints were, because this was all not true. It's all, I don't, has anybody seen Star Wars? I mean, that's what we did here, right? It's all trucage. This is editing, what you see here. And we thought people would understand it, but then, 6 organizations. And then they said to us, yeah, but you bring people to an idea. They're going to start boiling frogs. Said, yeah, that's not a good idea, we don't want that. So, but this is also, you are so convinced, you really want that message out there, and really use the stage to inspire people and to help people get into a certain direction. That when I see it now, and not with this history, I was, how blind can we be? But we were very blind. We thought this was a great idea. So, yeah, that's it. What we do is always try, we always want to be a movement of change that people feel connected to and inspired by, and also part of. I love it when when it really happened to me once that I paid at the gas station Criterium with the Triodos card, and the student there said, Triodos, I'm a member too, and I was like, a member of a bank? That's a good idea. And this is what our branding is all about. And, thanks. I can stand.
Yeah, you're happy to stand? Okay, sorry, my teenage boy voice is back. Thank you so much, Greo. That was amazing, really inspirational presentation. Like I said when I started, that we'll open up the floor for anybody who has a burning question.
Rabobank wants to take hunger out of the world.
Yeah.
How are you going to make sure that people know that this is a genuine thing that you do and that it's just not a marketing story?
Yeah. And first, the good news is sustainability's time is here. That's what we think is great. That's what we want. So great. Secondly, a lot of new players are stepping in and think, hey, that's an interesting market. We want to have our share there, making us less distinct. That's complicated. On the other hand, more people are interested in it. Hey, that's a good thing. So I see a balance there. So it is a challenge for your storytelling. We have to do a good job all the time. And also, people are not stupid. So when I saw the campaign of Rabobank, I also looked in social media. I was curious, what do people like it? What do they think about it? And I saw some critical comments, quite a lot, that people said, well, it's not my comment, but people said, first you cause a problem and now you say you're going to solve it, for example. So how true and honest is this thing? And culture creatives, we are very lucky that those are our target audience. They are very interested in the story behind something. So they want to have more information. And they are also known for, don't tell me, I will find out myself. So they investigate things. And they will find out the difference between one bank and Triodos Bank on themselves.